My name's Jeremy Adams. I work at the Booth Museum of Natural History in Brighton, and I'm the taxidermist here. Taxidermy is a highly unusual occupation, and it started as a nasty little boy with a pellet gun, I'm afraid, wandering around in Africa where I was brought up and shooting things. And then from there I developed a fascination with what was inside the things that I'd shot. I must say that I'm quite sad that I shot all those things now, but nevertheless I did, and it led me down the pathway to natural history and to anatomy generally. This is my shed, and here are the freezers where we store the bodies of the birds and mammals which get brought into us by members of the public. These items, as I say, are what we call natural mortality, if you can call being run over a natural mortality, that is. This is a little auk, and it's comparatively rare down in Sussex. Obviously, I get quite a lot of items in the museum, and so we can't work on them straight away, so I have to have temporary storage, hence the freezer. My career, you could say, started at the Cape Town Museum, where I was a general dog's body, and I found myself in the taxidermy section, much to my pleasure, and that in fact is where it all started. From there on I worked in various other museums and wound up in Brighton. Here we are. We're in the preparation room, or the dirty room. Dirty in a biological sense, in as much as there's blood and various organs, other pieces of soft tissue which we have to deal with here, and so this has to be, that kind of material has to be confined to this room. And as you can see on my left here is a stainless steel table where the taxidermy work, or the stuffing, or whatever you want to call it, is going to take place. So first remove the bird out of the plastic container, and you'll notice that this bird has already been skinned. So that process, which would take a good hour, you've been spared that particular one. You'll notice that there's a white powder on the inside, on the inner surface of the skin here. This is borax powder, a rather mild insecticide which we're still allowed to use. The most common question I get asked in this museum is, what do you stuff them with, mister? And the answer is wood wool. Children nowadays don't encounter wood wool very often. Polystyrene has taken over. Right, and this is the body as it will look like when I've finished it. It's compressed wood wool covered with a fine layer of tow, and this is really quite compact, and one can stick pins into this. This enables you to pin the legs and wings in a rigid body, which makes it possible to position those wings and legs in the way that you want to have them. Most people, a common misapprehension is that stuffing is done with cotton wool, quite literally. You open an orifice and you place cotton wool inside. This is not the case. It's a job which requires a lot of patience and quite a lot of skill and a great deal of practice to get anything like realistic results. This is a barn owl, female barn owl from Cowfold in 1991, where it was given to the museum. I'm particularly proud of this one and pleased with the way it turned out. To mount stuffed birds with their wings outstretched raises extra levels of technical difficulty. This job took me at least a day and a half, And then after that, the specimen needs to reach a sort of equilibrium with the environment, and so that means it has to dry out gradually, and that can take over a month. Once you've made your body, you then have to place it inside the skin and sew it up. But before you can do that, you have to put the eyes in, because the eyes have to be obviously inserted from the inside rather than from the outside. The eye obviously has to be situated into the right place in the eye socket, otherwise you wind up with cross-eyed birds, which look ridiculous. You also have to know exactly what eyes you're talking about, what glass eyes. They're quite expensive. They're kind of upmarket teddy bear eyes, I think you'd say. Learning how to become a taxidermist is a difficult job. You have to be self-taught to a degree, and then you have to find yourself in a position where you can get yourself an apprenticeship, if you like. There's no formal institution, there's no academy of taxidermy, and sadly you have to wait for one of us old codgers to die to fill the boots. And there's no guarantee that the job is going to be filled even, so it's a difficult question to answer. And I do get plenty of people who are interested. I've been doing this job since the 1970s, and I was lucky to get this job at the time. With hindsight, I love it. Like all jobs, it's got disadvantages, but actually I was made for this job, and I cannot possibly think of doing something else, certainly not now.